Hey guys, what's good? It's me, Gian. Today we're going to be doing a full review of Aquaman. Just came out this weekend, starring Jason Momoa. But before we get started, I just want to make sure that you smash that like button, you subscribe, you ring the bell if you're a subscriber. You can also join our Reddit page for suggestions and whatnot. We're doing a lot of polls there. Join the community, the Daniel and Gian Talk community. But Aquaman, right off the bat, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. My favorite DC film of this latest phase. Better than Wonder Woman, much better than Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad. I feel like DC made a huge error by not starting their franchises out with these films. You know, they should have done Aquaman first. They should have done Wonder Woman first and introduced us to these characters before they started doing the team films. There's a correlation I see between Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman starts off relatively positive. You know, we have this kind of happy vibe at the very beginning of the film. We get to see Themyscira. We're introduced to the Amazons. We learn all these things about why they're there, what happened, what their purpose is. And Aquaman, it's kind of the same. We get to see, we don't see so much the Seven Seas. We don't see the Atlanteans as much as we see Aquaman. And not just Aquaman, but Aquaman's parents, you know. And it had that little bit of romance at the beginning, which I thought it was great. It was a great way to start. You see Aquaman's dad rescue Atlanta. She's stabbed in the side. She's washed up on shore. He rescues her. He heals her back to life. She like tries to attack him and passes out again. And she wakes up and realizes that this guy, you know, is looking out for her. And they fall in love and they create this child. And she says, you know, the reason why she escaped because they're trying to force her into marriage. And this child is going to unite the surface dwellers, as they like to. That's the pejorative underwater, surface dwellers. But the humans and the Atlanteans, well, I guess the Atlanteans are technically humans. It starts out with this like good feeling, and you get to see little glimpses of Aquaman as a child. And then we jump into, fast forward to modern day within the first 15 minutes. We jump in, we're on a Russian submarine, this weird craft lands on top of this Russian submarine, and they're pirates, they're underwater pirates, and we're introduced to Black Manta before he's technically Black Manta. That's one of Aquaman's very famous villains. This is when the problems occur. The acting is terrible, cringeworthy bad acting. I'm talking 1980s action film one-liners, but without the charm. Like, come on guys, we're at a point now where you could do better than that. And I think this is, not to make the Marvel comparison so soon, but this is where you see the gap between DC and Marvel in terms of their superhero films. Well, Aquaman shows up, saves the day. Guy who becomes Black Manta's dad is also a mercenary. He tries to shoot Aquaman, so Aquaman like throws him into the wall and a torpedo lands on top of him. And then Black Manta's like, come on, help me. You're just gonna let him die here? And then Aquaman says, you know what? Sometimes we gotta pay for our actions. You know, these are the consequences of our actions, and leaves him there. And that's what creates Black Manta, the villain. Think about it right then and there. You already showed the guy as a bad dude. He's already like a pirate. He's already attacking people, killing people. The motivation for him to turn bad, he's already bad. You know, so it lacks that character moment. Like, you just never care about Black Manta. And he gets his ass kicked every time he sees Aquaman, so he's just like, it's just a waste of a character, you know? Why was he even there? He served very little purpose to the movie other than the introduction. It was almost like Crossbones, you know, at the beginning of Civil War. But at the same time, Crossbones doesn't have much screen time, you know? So Crossbones isn't that important. We don't see him again. We know that. Black Manta, they bring him back twice, and then he's also in the teaser at the end of the movie. So they're like, oh, he's gonna be back in the next one, but what's he gonna do? He already failed every single time. You know, he's your classic cheesy supervillain that never wins. Aquaman is told that his mom is dead because his mom, the Atlanteans come up to take her back. We find out that she gets married to the person she was supposed to be married to, has another child, so Aquaman has a half-brother. And we also find out that Willem Dafoe has had, he's been teaching Aquaman how to fight, how to use his powers underwater and stuff. So he's like kind of a double agent because he wants him to come back. The whole story is built around the one true king uniting the 7 kingdoms of the underwater kingdoms of Atlantis. And we were briefly introduced to them, but we really don't get to see them, which is unfortunate because this film is almost 3 hours long. And it felt long. Any issues that you've had with DC films so far, this film has them. What makes up for it is it's still fun. You still have a good time. Amber Heard is amazing. She's gorgeous. Jason Momoa, he walks into a room and every guy knows that every guy knows they don't compare. Like he's a cut above. This dude's a handsome motherfucker. He's charming too. There are parts where you can see his acting's not that great, but he's so charming that we work past it. And a part of it is just the lines they give him. A lot of unnatural lines, so the way he delivers them, it just feels awkward. But he makes up for it with charm and charisma. You know, he's his own compliment sandwich. The film has a good role. It takes a while though. We're underwater. We're getting introduced to some stuff, but not enough of what's going on underwater with the kingdoms. And then we all of a sudden go into an Indiana Jones type film in the middle where Aquaman's chasing down this mythical trident that belongs to the original king of Atlantis. And he goes through like this unknown, it's called the Unknown Ocean or something, where you had to go through a portal to get there. And the only way to get out of it is to get this trident to go back through. And we find out that his mom is still alive and she's been trapped there for 20 some odd years. But it's like, it's a completely different movie in the middle of the movie. It's kind of weird. And I guess in the whole scope of things, it's you know, we see the arc, but for me, it was just like, okay, what are we doing here? Because we cut back to what's going on in the other world. You know, they're planning an attack against the surface dwellers. And I thought Aquaman's dad was Native American at the beginning because he had no accent and they said he was in Boston. And then as the film goes on, he ages and he drinks. All of a sudden, his like New Zealand accent starts coming out. And I'm like, wait a second, so this guy is Polynesian after all? It's just inconsistencies that I picked up on immediately. Aquaman is a tough character to pull off because he's probably the lamest character in the DC universe and maybe in comic books. Starting from his costume, he's got an orange and green costume that makes no sense whatsoever. He's you know, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. He talks to fish. You know, that's his major power. But the film did a good job of interpreting that. We see young Aquaman, young Arthur at the aquarium communicating with the fish, and everybody knows it too. There's like no hiding it. Everyone in this community kind of knows it, and then they like just kind of let him be because he's, you know, he's a nice guy, but he's out there rescuing people as well. People know that. It's I don't know. I recommend watching it. We kind of know now that DC is for the time being kind of scrapping the overall universe of things. We're not gonna see too much crossover anymore, I believe. You know, it's kind of its own solo thing. Obviously, there's going to be an Aquaman sequel. They wouldn't have the teaser if there wasn't. The teaser itself, it kind of explains that there's a doctor who's like obsessed with Atlantis, and you know, he finds Black Manta, he saves him, and they have their conversation. I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. This is a good step. It's definitely a good step. It might be too little too late. It was better than I was expecting it to be. As for my rating, as of right now, I'll probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. You know, I do want to watch it again because I don't know. I feel like the second time around, you pick up on a lot of stuff you missed the first time. There's also the chance that you like it less. I'll be taking that risk. You know, it's why I haven't watched Venom again, because I had a good time watching it, and I feel like if I watch it the second time, I'm gonna really, really pick apart all the bad stuff in it. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go out and check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. You definitely need to see it on a big screen. I watched it on XD, which is Cinemark's version of IMAX. 3D, don't watch it in 3D, don't need that. And then in Dolby Atmos, which is, if you find a place doing Dolby Atmos, I highly recommend it because it's a different experience. The sound is a lot, it's cool. It's just you have 32 different speakers, I believe, and you're completely surrounded by sound. So it's different. And a good time. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. Let's see some comments. If you watched it, let me know how you felt about it. Let's have a discussion about this because I feel like it could be a bit polarizing, this film. And tell me how hot you think Jason Momoa is and who's hotter, Jason Momoa or Amber Heard. But we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.